Fred Richani of TSC News, the Sports Courier. We have right here via Zoom a very special guest. He is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. And oh yeah, he is also a Super Bowl champion. We're talking to Bucs punter Bradley Pinion. Bradley, how's it going?
It's going good, man. I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to that Super Bowl champion tag along with my name, man. It's surreal.
I can imagine. Now, I'm sure you've gotten this question a million times from friends, family, media, but I got to ask you the obligatory question. How does it feel to be a Super Bowl champion?
You know, it feels good. Something that you kind of work for your whole life as an athlete, as a football player, you kind of work for it. And it's always a dream and it's always like an aspiration, but it's never, you never think it's actually going to come true. It's like one in a million chance, I feel like. And just blessed enough to be on a team with a bunch of studs and that we're able to make it happen.
Now, you're known to be not only a very well-liked guy in the locker room and across the league, but also somebody that's pretty humble. But when you win a Super Bowl, sometimes some teams get a little comfortable. It becomes natural to celebrate quite a bit. How do you keep yourself grounded even with all the success you've had up to this point?
What you did last year doesn't matter. At this point, I mean, it didn't matter as soon as the next day of the Super Bowl was over. So you got to go do it again. And it's not something where you can just sit back and relish in what you've done. Take a little bit of time to appreciate it because you put in a bunch of work to get there. But it's time to go do it again. I mean, it's one of those situations where, like I said, last year doesn't matter. It's a whole new team. I mean, we have all 25 starters, and it is 25. Everybody says 22 starters. It's 25. Can't forget the specialists. All 25 starters back. And we got a great chance to do it again, but we got to put the work in to get there. And I'm going to make sure the specialists do their part, and I do my part. And I know the whole team, we got a tremendous group of guys in our locker room, some of the best to ever do it. I mean, we might have 12 Hall of Famers in our locker room. It's crazy. So it's I can promise you that we're putting the work in to get it done.
Man, I mean, you got an incredible squad. You mentioned that it's not 22 stars, it's 25. I mean, I can't imagine you being on a team like this, right? I mean, all through high school, through college, even in the NFL, your teammates always change. You always have a lot of turnover, sometimes on the coaching side as well. Besides obviously you guys won a Super Bowl, for what people don't see on the field, like what makes this team so special? What makes the chemistry so real?
It's going to sound cliche, but it's the brotherly love we have for one another. I mean, and it's the unselfishness of our team. At one point, I believe, a game, we had Shaq Barrett running down the field on punt. I mean, he's your all-pro, Pro Bowl, like outside linebacker, leading sack guy, and he's playing special teams. So, we just have a group of unselfish guys that are willing to just do whatever it takes to get the job done. And that's why we were as good as we were. I honestly don't think we were the best team in the NFL. I mean, obviously it showed throughout the season and we lost a few games. But we just knew how to get the job done. We gelled at the right time. We came together at the right time. We put our minds to it. And it was one of those situations where we just did it. And I love this group of guys. It reminds me of, honestly, when I was at Clemson and we had a group of guys that just loved each other. And that's what it is. We're unselfish. We love each other. We're willing to do what it takes. And we're going to do it again.
That's fantastic, man. Now, if I recall correctly, you were briefly put on the COVID list late 2020, right?
Yeah.
Are you surprised looking back at everything that you personally went through and the NFL and the team and the world went through that you guys were able to not only finish the season, but get to that point?
I got fortunate and never actually had COVID. I was just a close contact. So that was very fortunate. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, the season shouldn't even have happened last year, honestly. But the NFL did a great job. The NFLPA did a great job. The coaches, the players, the training staff, the athletic staff, athletic trainers, everybody did an amazing job to make the season happen. It was certainly something I hope we never have to go through again in my career or in my lifetime, honestly. But it, like I said, that everybody did a tremendous job to be able to get all the games in, not miss games, to get the Super Bowl in, to have fans in the stands in the Super Bowl. I mean, it was tremendous.
Not throwing shade at any other team because obviously it was a unique situation, but I really feel like just watching from afar and covering the Bucs throughout the season as I did, you guys did a pretty good job of kind of containing everything, and other than your close call and maybe a few other teammates, you guys did pretty well.
Yeah, we have an incredible staff. We have an incredible organization, top to bottom, from the janitors to the owners. I mean, you name it. We got an incredible staff, and everybody did what they were supposed to do to keep the virus at bay. And when we did have small little cases and outbreaks, we were able to contain them, and it boils down, we just got the job done. And that at the beginning of the year, BA had a meeting with the team and said it's going to be the team that stays the healthiest and battles the pandemic the best. And I might be misquoting this, but I think we had like the least amount of cases in the NFL. And it's a testament. I think BA hit the nail on the head at the beginning of the year. We were able to stay the healthiest, have the least amount of cases, and it led to a Super Bowl.
As far as the offseason goes, we know the rookies have reported to mini camp. They're doing their thing as the new draft picks. For you personally, when does the offseason start as far as getting those workouts in, staying loose, staying ready for the upcoming season?
That started a long time ago. That starts before the NFL even says it starts. That starts the day after the day after the Super Bowl is when that starts for us. As a veteran, you know how to handle the offseason. You know how to go about your day-to-day. You know when to kick, when to lift, when to relax, when to stretch, when to get the recovery. I was fortunate enough to learn from guys like Phil Dawson and Robbie Gould, who have been around for centuries, it seems like. So I learned how to do it at a really young in my career. And I just keep building on it every year. And I feel like I get stronger and better and more consistent every single year. So that honestly starts the day the last game ends. You already start preparing for the next year. You start putting the game plan together before the season even ends of what you liked, what you didn't like from the year before. So, you really put it all together way beforehand, and then you just execute your plan. One of the best sayings that Keith, our special teams coach, says is have a plan and work your plan. That's literally that's all it is. Have a plan, work your plan. And when you have a plan and work your plan, can't go wrong. Well
said. Now, you don't just have a plan to stay ready during the offseason, heading into the regular season, but you have a plan to help people. And you've been helping people for a number of years, making some tremendous contributions with Convoy of Hope. Can you tell fans a little bit about that and the tremendous work that you guys have done?
Yeah. So this past year, we did a campaign called Touch Back to Give Back. And we partnered with my uncle, who owns a company. And basically, we just did for every touchback that was hit on kickoffs during the season, you could donate a dollar amount or you could donate one lump sum. We actually raised almost over $100,000. And with that $100,000, we are actually putting on a event with Convoy of Hope, where we're going to serve 500 plus underprivileged families in the Clemson area. That event is actually going to be on June 12th, so it's coming up. And we're stoked for this event. We're handing out shoes, socks, hygiene kits. Pepsi's been gracious enough to come on board and do a ton of Pepsi product. We'll hand out warm meals for people. We'll have a chance to get photos, haircuts, books. It's going to be an awesome event. And it's something that's near and dear to my heart. Football's great. Don't get me wrong. Football's amazing. But that's not my purpose. God gave me this platform to be able to make a difference. And that's what I plan to do with it. So super pumped about the event, super pumped about Convoy. And then we also have a program called Punts for Pups. It's for every punt down inside the 20-yard line. We sponsor the adoption of a dog at the Hillsborough County Pet Resource Center. We've done that for 2 years now, and we've had over 40 dogs adopted, which is just awesome. And we plan to expand on that next year, where we're looking and working with some different organizations to even have a greater impact with that. So the Lord's just blessed me tremendously to be able to give back, something that's near and dear to me and my wife's heart. So super excited about those. Convoy is an amazing organization. If you don't know about it, you should really look into them. They do stuff all over the world, from natural disasters to women empowerment to feeding programs. They feed over, I believe it's over 400,000 kids every school day in foreign countries. You name it, they do it. They don't just teach a man. They don't just give a man a fish. They teach a man to fish. They literally go in and teach them how to grow crops and harvest the crops and then sell the crops, so that way they can sustain themselves and not relying on someone else, which is the biggest part. You can give somebody something all day long, but being able to actually equip someone with something that will be lifelong, that's where you make a difference.
Wow, man, that's just absolutely tremendous stuff. I commend you or your organization and your wife and your family for all doing this. Just absolutely wonderful. And there's like an old saying too, if you give, life gives back to you.
Amen.
Do you feel that way whenever you're given?
Absolutely. And I don't even say life gives back. I almost get more fulfillment out of it than the people that we're actually serving, just to see the looks on their face, to be able to slide a pair of shoes onto a kid's foot that's like never had a new pair of shoes or hadn't had a new pair of shoes. And I don't know how long, and see the joy on their face and watch them run away. and like in their new pair of shoes. It does something to you. And it's awesome, honestly. And we're actually planning on doing one of these events in Tampa, too. So be on the lookout for that.
Excellent, man. Well, that's tremendous stuff. Now, if we transition to something a little bit different here, your playing career.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people may not know you're 6'5". I mean that's pretty tall for any player, let alone a punter. Growing up, did you gravitate towards football and special teams? Did you do basketball? Did some people say, bro, you could be a bouncer, a pro wrestler? I mean, you're a pretty big guy for a punter. I mean, what path did you kind of take that ended up being in special teams?
Yeah. So crazy enough, my first love was soccer. I was a goalie in soccer and loved soccer. And that's kind of how I got started kicking the football. But I played all sports. I played soccer, basketball. I was terrible at baseball, but I played it. And then football kind of fell in with that. My grandpa was actually a punter for App State, and then had some tryouts and stuff in NFL. And I think spent some preseason with the Dallas Cowboys. So it was kind of in my blood to be able to punt a football. But really, soccer got me started, and being able to play all those different sports. I was fortunate enough to actually have scholarships for all three of them to play at different schools. But football was my passion. Football kind of fell into my lap right around 7th grade. Got a football for Christmas, went out to the field, and my dad thought I was going to want to throw it around, and I told him to put it on his foot. I wanted to kick it, and I kicked like a 35-yard field goal first ever time I touched the football.
Wait, first time?
First ever time kicking a football, kicked a 35-yard field goal. So my dad was like, hang on, do that again. So he put it on his foot again, and I kicked it, went through again, and he was like, stop right there. We're going to get you some help. He just saw something in me that was like, hey, you might be pretty good at this. And it's just been a wild ride ever since 7th grade. I have traveled all across the nation, training with some of the best coaches to ever do it. Was fortunate enough to have probably the best coach in the entire world right there in Charlotte, in my hometown, named Dan Orner. And I've worked with him since 8th grade. He's still my coach to this day. I go see him once a week in the off season. So it's been truly a wild ride, truly one that good Lord's had his hand on, from leaving early as a junior at Clemson, that crazy punter that leaves early, to getting drafted, to ending up at the Bucs, winning the Super Bowl. I mean, man, you can't dream it up.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I believe when you were drafted, you were the only punter drafted that year, right?
Yeah, it was me, one punter and one long snapper. Me and Joe Cardona with the Patriots, where we were picked actually back-to-back picks. I was picked 165 and he was 166.
Wow. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure as a special teamer to, get drafted in the first place, but to do it like you did, I mean, that's awesome. And you did end up going to Clemson. You spoke earlier a little bit about how, that camaraderie kind of reminds you of what you have with the Bucs right now. I imagine some other offers might've been on the table, since Clemson's obviously a major school, former national champion, had a lot of success, especially in recent years. What made you ultimately settle for Clemson? Yeah,
I had it narrowed down to Clemson, South Carolina, UNC, and Georgia. That was kind of like my top 4. And the brotherhood that I already made with a lot of the guys at Clemson. My best friend to this day, he's an offensive lineman that played with me at Clemson. We roomed together the whole time we were at Clemson, and we talk every day. Really, that's what drew me to Clemson. It's one big family, and it sounds cliche, and it sounds like everybody says that, but it's true. I mean, it's different at Clemson. It is legit a family. We actually did an interview. I went into school early at Clemson, and there was like 8 or 9 of us that went in early, and they set us all in separate rooms and did interviews with us. And they asked us all why we came to Clemson, and every single one of us, unprompted, said because it felt like family. And it was true. Clemson was family. I still talk to those people to this day. I live 20 minutes from Clemson. I couldn't leave the area. My wife grew up 20 minutes from Clemson. Literally, like, Clemson is family. And I firmly believe that, and would do it all over again, pick Clemson every single time over again. And I never won an ACC championship. I never won a national championship. The biggest bowl game we won was the Orange Bowl my sophomore year. So, we were good, but we weren't amazing like we are now at Clemson. And it was just the family aspect of it that was huge.
Now, did you meet your wife at Clemson, or did that come afterwards?
No, I did. I met my wife at Clemson. I met her my freshman year at Clemson. And it was awesome. I mean, she's amazing. Her name's Kaylee. I couldn't do any of this without her. She's my backbone. She's my rock. She's truly impeccable. She gives up a lot so we can live this crazy life. And she takes care of our 4 dogs, and eventually our children one day. So she's special.
So Kaylee has to be pretty patient, and I'd imagine that by this point is kind of used to you being in this football mode, right? And the lifestyle and all the training that goes with it.
Yeah, she is. She used to say her least favorite thing about me was that I played football, and it's probably still true, honestly. But she's embraced it. Her football knowledge has grown impeccably. I mean, she'll start saying stats that I didn't even know existed, and she loves it. We love it. Our families are so supportive. We couldn't ask for a better home life situation. It's truly awesome. It's truly been a blessing.
Now, what we like to do with all our guests is ask them some questions, sometimes some random questions, just so people can get to know them a little bit better. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Who is the funniest guy in the Bucs locker room?
Funniest? Oh, Lord. Gronk. That's easy, actually.
Okay, besides Gronk.
Funniest. Let's see. Pat O'Connor.
Really? That's an unexpected one.
Yeah.
Is there any stories you're allowed to tell us?
He's just got a good wit about him that you just can't help but laugh at.
Favorite late night snack?
Ice cream. I love ice cream.
What flavor?
Vanilla ice cream with chocolate syrup and sprinkles.
I like that. Simple but effective.
Simple but effective.
All right. Best spot in Tampa. Could be a favorite place to eat, place to enjoy the views. Like, is there one or two places that you really just like enjoy going? Like if I'm going, I'm saying, Bradley, I'm hitting up Tampa for a first time or whatever. Where would you point me to? Besides a Bucs game.
Yeah. I'd point you to the Hyde Park area. And I'd point you to, if you want just kind of like a good tapas place, I'd go to Haven. If you want Mexican, I'd send you to Green Lemon. If you want a steak, I'm going to go unpopular opinion. I'm not sending you to Burns. I'm sending you to Charlie's Steakhouse. Let's see. If you want seafood, I'm sending you to I think it's called the Salt Shack down in South Tampa. Yeah, I think that's it.
Who's the coolest guy in the Bucs, and why is it Bruce Arians?
He is the coolest one by far, and it's got to be because he got a Super Bowl tattoo.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty chill dude. Got a good sense of style too. So.
Absolutely, I love his hat. I wish I could pull it off.
Yeah. He's one of the few that can. Speaking of the Bucs, is the Bucs boat show parade the greatest Super Bowl celebration in history?
Absolutely, most epic thing I've ever been a part of in my entire life. Winning the Super Bowl was great. The after party was great, but that parade was something else.
Was it as wild in person as it seemed on TV? Between the drinks flowing, everybody's having a good time, as y'all should, but also the throwing of the Super Bowl trophy across the boat.
Yeah, it was probably more wild in person than it was on TV, just because the TV can't capture every moment. But yeah, it was wild. Definitely wild.
What's your most awkward football moment?
Awkward football moment had to be in high school. My junior year, the LSU scout was there was actually a few scouts in the stands, and opening kickoff, I slipped and hit the kickoff 2 yards, and the opposing team was smart enough to pick it up and run it like 20 yards towards their end zone. And the LSU scout got up and walked out the stadium.
Oof, yeah, that's pretty rough. Is there an awkward moment in the NFL, or have you been pretty clear for the most part?
I'd say my most awkward moment in the NFL was actually with San Fran, and my rookie year, I was filling the shoes of a longtime Pro Bowler, Andy Lee, and so it was some tough shoes to follow. And I think it was probably my third or fourth game. I was at home, and I hit a 17-yard punt out of bounds, completely whiffed it, and got booed to the sideline. And it was probably the worst feeling I've ever felt in my NFL career.
Now, I'd imagine as a pro athlete, especially on a Super Bowl champion, I mean, there's always a lot of pressure on you. How do you handle that adversity?
It's what you call kicking is a streak of one. You handle one kick at a time. My next kick, I actually went out there and hit like a 65-yard bomb. So I totally redeemed myself, but it's the streak of one. So you just got to look at it one kick at a time, no matter what happens. Clear your mind, clear your thoughts, go get the next one. Same thing with every other player, honestly, one play at a time, one snap at a time. So, yeah.
What's the biggest misconception about being a punter?
That we're not athletes. People don't realize to punt. I was just talking about this with someone earlier too. This is fantastic. to punt and to be a punter, you're usually the holder for field goal kicking also. So to punt, you probably have the most catches on the team than anyone else. So you can take Mike Evans, you can take Chris Godwin, you can take AB, Scotty Miller, and take all their catches. And then you look at every single time I call a football, and I probably have the most catches on the team.
You mentioned all these great wide receivers that you guys play with. I'm going to ask you a bit of a controversial question here. Who, in your opinion, is the fastest person on the Bucs?
The fastest on the Bucs?
Mm-hmm.
Dean.
Okay.
Jamal Dean.
Jamal Dean? Okay.
Yeah, 100%. You just need, like, you do straight line speed, you're going Dean. If you're going like cutting and quickness, you probably got to go Scotty. But if you're just going straight line, it's definitely Dean. If
you weren't a punter, what would you be?
Football, or are we just talking about life?
I mean, just general. Let's just throw out football for a sec. Let's just say, you had to take a totally different career path. If you couldn't become a punter, if you couldn't be a pro athlete, where would life take you?
Somewhere in the business world. I have a business degree, so I'd say I'd honestly probably be running. My dad runs a furniture company, owns a furniture company, so I'd probably be in the family business with the furniture company, honestly. So
you were completing business school while also playing for Clemson, while also juggling a pretty serious relationship. I'm sure there's some college kids watching this going, how the hell did he do that? How'd you do that?
tell them, don't worry. It took me a few years after I left to actually graduate because I did leave early. I had 3 classes left that I would have had to take my senior year. So I took them each summer. I took 1 class a summer and finished my degree. But I mean, you just got to prioritize. You got to learn what's more important than anything. And if you put your mind to it, you can do it. That's what my belief has always been. Besides the Super Bowl, what game, what performance, what about your career are you most proud of? Probably that first game ever in the NFL. You work your whole life you dream about those types of moments, being able to play in that first game. And then I'd say, honestly, just like an accumulation of this past season, all the ebbs and flows. I mean, we started off rocky, had a good run, and then lost, I think it was 3 or 4 straight. And then went on to finish the season phenomenally. And just the way the whole team handled that adversity, the way us as specialists handled that adversity, that I think that was pretty cool. What's the best piece of advice you give anybody watching this, particularly any aspiring pro athletes? Work your tail off. I mean, it looks all fun and games, and you see the glamour of it on guys' Instagrams and social media and interviews, and you see the fun side of it. But what you don't always see is the work ethic you put in, the 4:30 a.m. alarm clocks every day during the season, the grind, the lifting, the running, the training, the critiquing of technique, the coaches in your ears yelling at you, the fans that don't like you. There's always going to be fans that don't like you. Not meeting your own expectations, not meeting coaches' expectations. I mean, people don't see the glitz and glamour of it, but just the work, put in the work. If you put in the work, you give yourself the greatest possibility to make good things happen and to live out your dream. So put your head down, get to work, and then I believe something greater than yourself. I'm a firm Christian. I firmly believe in God and Jesus Christ is my savior. Having that belief in something greater than myself keeps me grounded, and also lets me know that when those crazy bad things happen or when those good things happen, not to get too high, not to get too low, but stay very confident, stay very level, and give the glory to the man upstairs. Well, Bradley, it's been a pleasure talking to you, learning about your journey, learning about all the great things you're doing off the field as well. Before we let you go, where can fans find you and Convoy of Hope online? Yeah, so you can find us on Instagram, Convoy of Hope. You can go to my Instagram. I've posted about them numerous times, so just scroll and I'm sure you'll see them somewhere in there. Convoy of Hope, convoyofhope.org. I mean, they're all over the place. You Google Convoy of Hope, it'll come right up. And they do an amazing job. They're awesome people. I met them like my rookie year in the NFL, and they didn't ever hound me for anything. They didn't even ask me for money. They didn't ask me to do anything, but I just fell in love with the people within the organization and what their mission is. It aligns perfectly with Christ's mission and my mission in life. And they're just an amazing organization. So I highly recommend going out there, looking them up. Hit me up on Instagram. I'll be happy to share their impact on my life and their impact on many others' lives.